My name is Carlos Walker, and this is Black Art. Hold on, Art and Hustle. Black Authors Matter. And today I got my cousin once again, Mr. Princeton Clark. How you doing, cuz?
Hey, doing good, man. All love, all love. Thank you for having me, man.
Man, it's always an honor to have you because of the, I guess you could say, the wisdom that you have.
Yeah.
It
No,
truly inspires me to see you where you are at today. Because hey, I remember when we were young, but to see you and know parts of your journey, to me, that's mind blowing.
yeah.
So
Likewise, man. Likewise. So much love to you. We've seen a side of this thing we call life that a lot of people don't see and a lot of people don't make it out of, and we've become excuse eradicators for so many people, who are where we used to be, of what it looks like on the other side if you just do what you can do and what you've been blessed to do. And
mhm.
so it's an honor for me too, to know your story, to remember, those times running wild, like being crazy, and so much, you did things that I didn't even do, but bro, the blessings on blessings on blessings, ain't that what they say?
That's what they say. So, if you will, for those who don't know you from last season, but don't know you, period, share a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right. So my name is Princeton Clark. For those of you guys who don't know me, I've been in the personal, professional, and spiritual development space for over two decades, actually about 22 years at this point. Grew up in a small town, Brookneal, Virginia. I always say it's a two-blink town. You blink once, you halfway through it. You blink twice, you're through it. But I grew up, I faced a lot of challenges, but, like Carlos, we grew up in an area where most people who are born there die there. They don't see beyond the confines of that experience. And one thing that I will say is we grew up in a very close-knit community. You don't really hear about kids getting beat nowadays, but growing up, you get in trouble at one part of the community, you're gonna get a whipping all the way back home if you in the wrong place at the wrong time. So we had a close-knit community, but they understood a fight, they understood the struggle, and a lot of them, I say, I owe it to those who came before me, to be what they always believed I could be, even if they couldn't believe it for themselves, but I've been in the space of personal development, started in ministry, and then I just felt the spirit called me out of ministry to go into the world, and the message to me was, you are here to create something new. And, started studying spirituality, going deeper into the message of Yeshua and really looking at the fabric of our divine essence and the kingdom within and how to tap into that, but then I realized that there were so many people in the secular world, professionally and personally, who they were seeking the message, but they kind of had a bad taste in their mouth because of religion. And I was like, okay, I'm called to go reach these people. And I've been able to enter into a lot of doors, from I always say, you can put me in the streets and I can reach them. You can put me in a boardroom, I can reach them, but it's been a process of my own evolution. My brand is Evolved Mastery, and it's all about evolving into your power, potential, and purpose. And the colors of it represent, because it's black, gold, black, white, and gold. And it represents from darkness into the light, to alchemize pure gold with your experiences to add value to the world. And I set out on this course, and I've been able to do that. I've been able to start a podcast that reaches 129 countries. I worked with Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi as a master coach for a couple years. And I've just been able to do so many different things. But I will say my greatest achievement is truly understanding and learning what it means to love at a soul level and to be love in my life, first for myself, because you can only love your neighbor as deeply as you love yourself. And I think that's a huge space that we miss for those of us who want to create impact in the world, is that we jump out and we martyr ourselves trying to help everybody else without fully grasping what it means to love ourselves. And I'm not saying the identity, the ego that we personify ourselves to be. I'm talking about the divine self, the king self, the image and likeness of the divine flowing through us in this body that is being given life by that essence every day. I learned to love the I am, because as the I am is in me, so the I am is, and I get the flow, through that. I am blessed, and I acknowledge that. I surrender to that every single day. Every breath I breathe is a gift, and we were talking about that inspiration, that breath that comes through, that's being breathed into us every single day, and we take it for granted. The word spirit in Hebrew and Aramaic is ruha, and it means breath. And a lot of the times we talk about the spirit, but we're missing such a deep key component. If I say spirit, the I am that is the spirit bringing consciousness into form, which I have called Princeton. My mom and dad call Princeton, when really it's just an extension of something so big that my finite mind can't even begin to comprehend. And so on my journey, I have learned the art of surrender. And I always say mastery. I'm a self-mastery expert, guide, spiritual teacher. And I always say mastery is not about force and pushing. It's about surrender. And so I surrender to the breath each day, understanding that I am a divine creator. I get to choose. One of my favorite speakers, he says, every day you're given two C's, a chance and a choice, and what you do with it is up to you. But I've had a lot of chances to make a lot of new choices, and I've become the man I am. Doesn't mean I'm better than anyone else, just means I made different decisions with the divine power that I've been given, and you all have the ability to do the same. And I'm just getting warmed up, man. So I'm loving the journey, man. I get to come on here with my cousin, who's another amazing divine soul on this journey, always bringing the peace, always bringing the blessings, always bringing the love. And to see another divine individual who has become aware of his own I amness in this thing we call life has just been powerful.
So what I want to ask you now, being that you have explained to the people who you are and the things that you do, share about your book, because you're an author. Last year we discussed your first book. Now I want to discuss your second book.
Okay.
If you will, share a little bit about it. Matter of fact, before that, share why you created it or how it was created. Then we'll go into what it is about.
Okay, awesome. And as we're having this conversation, I'm hearing the family laughing in the background. And I'm like, man, the bond. You have people around you. I remember it made me think of this before I jump into this, when I would start recording videos and stuff, and kids would be running around. And I look back on a lot of those videos now, and I was like, man, what was I trying to be perfect for? We all live in this life. We all have real life experiences going on around us all the time. And I was trying to be so perfect, and so I'm listening to that, and it's making me think back to when I began this journey, man. And, blessings to whoever's in the house right now who's getting to experience the blessing of you, your energy, your inspiration. Blessings to everybody in that space right now, man. I got to make sure to honor every soul that's in proximity to this greatness that we are and that we are expressing in the world. But so I wrote my first book, and it was the Awakening Your Inner Master, The Journey of Self-Mastery. And it was broken up into 3 parts: mind, body, and soul. And I won't get too deep into that today. If you guys want to check it out, you can go to my website at princetonclark.com. And you can also go my website will have everything. Just go there. Keep it simple. And that one actually went international bestseller. And I didn't even know, because I didn't even really promote that book. Like talking about, I probably sold the first month 250 copies, hard copy, but I ended up giving the ebook away because when I launched that book, it was to be a catalyst on my rebrand, because it was Princeton Clark Coaching for years. And then I was like, okay, I'm here to call people to evolve, to step into their power, potential, and purpose. So what does that mean? And I started looking at, I always tell any great speaker or leader, your ideal client or the person you have the ability to impact is a former version of you in some way. And you got to be able to speak to where they are instead of speaking from up here all the time. And so in that book, I shared a lot of my testimony. I shared a lot of the wisdom gained through the process, what allowed me to evolve mentally, what allowed me to evolve physically in my energy and my being, and what allowed me to evolve soulfully. And so by me giving the ebooks away, what ended up happening, I guess, is a bunch of people started saying, I want the book. Like, I want the book. Because I wrote that book in a way that I always say I would never write a book unless I could write it in a way that when people read it, it's like sitting right next to me. It's like a conversation. And, that's what happened. And so I ended up going on Google and just after about a year, actually, when I published my new book that I'm about to talk about, when I first published that book back a couple years, I I was like, let me see what my other book did. Let me see where it's popping up online. And so I'm going through links, checking it out. And I get to this one site that's talking about bestsellers. And when I type in my book, it actually pops up and it said bestseller on Google and Amazon internationally.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So you want to talk about the gifts making room for you. You know, a lot of the times we don't realize that the message that we've been called to bring, you know, we sit back, we question, we criticize ourselves, we get the imposter syndrome, you know, and we ask, you know, who am I to do this? You know, but like God told Jeremiah, who are you not to? I put the scrolls in your mouth, you know, and I realized I had a message in it, and the message was permeating the ethers of humanity. And I was really excited about that. And then my second book, which we're here to talk about today, was published around that time. And this book was a gift. You know, I wrote everything in the book, but this book wasn't a chapter upon chapter book. It's a decade anthology, and it's called not Power of Love. It's called, oh my gosh, I just went blank. It's called, Warrior of Love. I don't know why I want Power of Love. I guess that's what I'm feeling right now, but it's called Warrior of Love. And Warrior of Love, Spirit of Truth. And it's all about the fact that within you there is a spirit warring to love you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, it's speaking a divine truth to you. You know, and when I started really looking back on it, what happened was my daughter's mom at the time when we were together, she wanted to do something very special for my birthday, because people would always say, Princeton, you have a book on your social media. Because I would always write whenever I had a thought, whenever I was feeling inspired, I would just write. And I never really knew what I was going to write until I started writing. But it ended up being 8 to 10 writings. Basically what she did, she went back all the way to 2011, and it's 8 to 10 writings from each year. So the book is broken up into years. So 2011 to 2021. So it's a decade anthology. And it's all the writings and all the wisdom gained over the years. But the beautiful part about this book is it's one of those books you can either read it straight through, or you can just open up to any page and it gives you something. I mean, it might be about business or relationship, wherever the spirit had me at that time. But the amazing thing about it is, from beginning to end, it's talking about love. Love is the central theme of the entire book. And I thought it was so amazing. She gave it to me on my birthday, and it was just amazing to go back and read through it and to see the growth, but also to see the steadfastness, and to see the message always being there, you know, that me listening to the warrior of love within myself. And I'm on the front cover, but I always tell people, Warrior of Love and Speaker of Truth, it's not about Princeton. It's not about Princeton. It's about the fact that there is a warrior, a spirit within you warring to love you, and it's speaking a divine truth specifically to you, and you must learn to listen to what it's saying to you by acknowledging where it's saying it and how it's saying it. You are a powerful creator, and you have the power to create whatever it is that you desire in your life. And so it's one of those books that you get to open up, and you might read one line in it, and for a week, you're just pondering over it. It's making you think. And this is what I tell people in this information age: stop reading to consume information. Start reading to embody transformation, because information by itself, we grew up hearing, you know, knowledge is power, and it's not. It's embodied knowledge is power. Knowledge is simply information retained. Wisdom is knowledge embodied after it's been attained. So when you learn, this book is one of those books, like any other book that I've written. Like, I have a new one coming out now called Power to Purpose. But what I learned early in my journey when reading, you know, because we're talking to authors, and, you know, we've written books, we share stories. Don't just look at it. Don't just look at the pictures. Don't just open it up and read and say, oh, just to get the book done. Oh, that was a good read, because we've gotten so used to consuming stuff fast. Stop just consuming. Start absorbing. Start embodying. When you read something and you have those moments where it's like, man, like, that really hit me. It really, you know, just like even with your book, like the different paintings, like imagine if this was the situation. And try to put yourself in those shoes. Try to put yourself in that experience, and look back on what we have grown through, what we have been able to process through, what we as Black Americans can do. And, you know, you have your second book too, but look at the stories of overcoming, of evolution. and start asking yourself, how does this apply to the story, to the epistle of my life?
Mm-hmm.
And how can I take this information, embody it to create real transformation in my life? And you know, so when I went back, because you know I can talk, we can talk, but when I went back and I looked at that book, man, it was just a gift, you know, and it was like a big God wink, just saying, you did it. You're still doing it. You're still here.
You didn't even have to do it, and I'm going to give it to you.
Right.
Because you already did the work.
Yeah.
And
It was
now
just,
I'm about to give you a gift on top of the gift that I've given you. I do want to speak to one thing real quick.
okay.
You said that what they said, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And I learned this a long time ago. All those books you got back there, that's a bunch of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That is what knowledge is, if not applied.
Right.
It's just a bunch of books sitting on a shelf that's never read. When you learn to your point, embody, but apply it, because in embodying it, you're going to make it applicable.
Mm-hmm.
Applicable. And you doing so, what happens, I take what I have learned and I'll figure out how to utilize it in my everyday living. This is where power comes from, because it then becomes power only because it's in motion.
Yeah.
I learned that a while back, and it was just mind blowing how people said knowledge is power, and I understand the principle behind it, but if it's never used, and I know a bunch of people who are very knowledgeable, but they don't know how to apply it.
Mm-hmm. It's like biblically the passage where it says, claiming themselves to be wise, they become fools. They know a lot. They got a lot of information. They're good at puffing themselves up and always having something to say and a good remark. And, you know, they know how to play the room, but they're not wise because they haven't embodied 3/4 of what they're teaching. They want to be the spokesperson of the information without the example, the discipled transformation of that information. And this is where we see a lot of people in today. I mean, whether we're talking dating or relationship, I mean, dating and relationships, religion, politics, everybody got a bunch of information, you know, and it looks good on social media to those who don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
what does
but
it
then,
look like in your real life?
Right.
Are you truly embodying and applying everything that you know to make it actually work? Because anything that you know, it should work for you.
Yeah.
Right? And I understand we know a lot of information, but how are you utilizing it? So go ahead and if you will, tell me a little bit about the what is the Warrior of Love? That's the second book.
Yeah, Warrior of Love, Speaker of Truth. I think I got it wrong in the beginning. My head, we talked about so much. Yeah, Warrior of Love, Speaker of Truth. And again, it's a decade anthology. It's a process of growing and wisdom gained. You know, the things written in that book, it's like deep pondering. You know, it's stuff that I've sat with and I go back and I'm like, like the Spirit was just speaking, you know, and it's beautiful because I always say that there's this one prayer, allow me to decrease that the Spirit may increase through me. You know, Princeton is just an idea. You know, my mom, my dad, everybody in the world, they have an idea of who Princeton is. And I once lived lost behind this idea of who I was until I understood what I was, you know. And so now I always say Princeton's just an idea, and Princeton's going to be who I say Princeton's going to be when I say Princeton's going to be it. And so to go back and to see, again, as I said earlier, the I amness.
You're the main character of your story.
Right. And to see it play out, you know, and another thing is I didn't write it with the intention of it ever becoming a book. It was just, I was so present in the growth, in the embodiment, in the experience, that the wisdom just, you know, the cup was full. So it was just running over. And it was just in certain moments when I would hear certain things and, you know, see posts or have certain conversations, I would sit with it. Because another thing that happened over my journey, you were talking about before we came on, the message to the youth, and, you know, just really learning how to monitor their emotional state, develop a higher level of emotional intelligence so that you don't become so reactionary. Instead, you become intuitively responsive. You become aware of how you make decisions, understanding that you are the architect of your reality. And in a nutshell, and that's what we were talking about before we came on, the message to the kids that you want to impact with your new book. And, for me, that's huge, because I grew in the level of emotional intelligence, because I used to fight all the time. I didn't care about nothing. I made a lot of bad decisions. But as I grew, as I learned to embody this stuff, I developed a higher level of emotional intelligence, which on the backside of developing a higher level of emotional intelligence. And if you struggle with emotional intelligence and you don't know what that is, look up emotional intelligence 2.0, or just Google developing a higher level of emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Because unfortunately, especially for us as Black people, we've grown up with a lot of anger, a lot of trauma. And, so in a lot of ways, either we shut down or we explode, or we operate in a way that's not productive for our lives, and we even take our pain and we make it our purpose, and that was something I learned too, is like, my pain wasn't my purpose. My pain was preparation for my purpose. And so as I developed that higher level of awareness and emotional intelligence, I started realizing that, wait a minute, I am not the brain creating the emotion in the body. Your emotion is just energy in motion, and it's been set in motion by what you think. As a man thinketh, so that man becomes. So anger isn't something that just happens. Anger is what happens when you don't cast down vain imaginations, all those conversations, those arguments, those things I would tell somebody if they knew, and I'm going to let the world to cast that down, because it doesn't serve you. It's going to destroy you, and you got to go ahead.
Be angry, sin not.
Right. 100%. You can't. It's like even being present with that statement, be angry and sin not. Ultimately, the word sin, we know it means to miss the mark. If my target is to experience, if I'm aiming an arrow at a target, and the center of that target that I want to hit has more love in it, more peace in it, more joy in it, more gratitude in it, more power in it, more potential in it, more purpose in it, then when I'm aiming that arrow, if I miss the arrow, that's sinning. If I'm missing the arrow of what I am and what I have the capacity to produce in the fruit of the Spirit, then I'm sinning. So when we look at this thing, it is the ultimate sin to sin against thyself. To sin against your potential, to sin against your purpose, to sin against your power, to sin against the very essence that you've been called to be in love. And people think, well, love ain't never got me nothing. No, your perspective's never gotten you nothing. Because I can tell you one thing: people come and go. Circumstance change is the only constant. But my love for me is steady, because I understand that as I love me, I am not simply loving. I'm not loving this. No. I'm loving the divine essence of what I am. As the I am is, so I am. So how can I not love myself, but say I love God, when God is the expression of itself through me, living in this force I get to experience, but yet for most of my life, I neglected it. Neglected it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna add something to this. So what I learned, I heard you speak about it earlier. There's 3 parts to us that they say: mental, physical, spiritual. There's actually 5 parts: emotional, and there's a call to be fruitful and multiply. So it works this way. Most people live this way. They live from the physical to the mental. Your physical tells your mental life is messed up. Your mental tell your emotions, and your emotions go haywire. And most people are in a state of what they do not feed their spirit. So the spiritual part is back there malnourished, because it's never been fed, or what's the word I want to use? Fed or treated. Yeah. So what happens? Everything looks crazy to them, because they only worked on the first. They're only living from the first 3. But you're supposed to work inside out. Spirit. Have you worked on your spirit? What happens? Your spirit tells your emotions, calm down. It's gonna be okay. Whatever the mental just told you is okay. Your emotions tell your mental, slow down. Look, this thing is gonna work itself out, and then it impacts your physical, which impacts your fruitfulness. Because if you work from inside out, I'm meant to be fruitful and multiply. I'm meant to be as the tree is outside. And that is the I am, the I be part that you're speaking to, is that you learn how to work from inside out, not outside in.
Yeah.
It's chaos when you live outside in. It's calming, or peace be still, when you live from inside out. And then everything, a tree can't even produce fruit until it's mature. It's part of the cycle that you have to go through. But that goes into understanding from here how to now your perspective changes, because now I know that I can do whatever I need to out here.
100%. 100%. I always tell, even in the spaces that I'm in now, excuse me, I always say you can't even begin to talk about personal and professional development until you talk about spiritual development. Because if you don't understand the inner workings, the outer workings will never make sense. It
Never.
will always be chaos.
It'll
It
be
will
the same.
always, yeah. And this is where a lot of people get messed up. And again, this is why I also say stop consuming so much information, because you become constipated with so much information, and too much information creates confusion.
It's trash. I hate to say it. Look, too much information, it becomes sinful to you, because you don't know how to utilize none of it.
Right. And that's what we're trying to do. And I always say, I have to stay humble in getting wisdom, and gaining understanding, and all you're get understanding. Like, if I'm reading something, it doesn't matter how much information I have if I don't understand it or understand it. And so it's like I'm doing a disservice. Like you said, it's garbage. It's useless. It's useless. And this is why mentoring people and talking to people, I tell them all the time, I'm like, you can't take somebody somewhere you've never been. The information is nothing if you can't guide someone as if you're taking them by the hand and saying, walk with me. I'm going to show you how to avoid this stumbling block. As a coach, as a guide or a mentor, my ability to lead someone else should be able to turn decades into days for them. Like, I was talking to one of my clients this morning, Deb, and we were talking about how she was like, because there's been a few times where she's like, I feel like, I should be so much further ahead. And I was like, think back. We've been working together for over a year. In the past year, which you don't realize because you're in the mix of the experience.
Yes.
Things that you have learned, things that I have taught you, like something that took you a day to figure out because of wisdom that I shared with you, took me 5 years to figure out, or 10 years to figure out.
And that, she's so ahead and she don't even know it.
Yeah. So we got to laughing about that this morning, but this is why, you got to surround yourself with people who understand the inner work, who understand that path, who understand the call that's on your life, because to whom much is given, much is required. For some of you out there that are listening to this or watching this right now, you may be feeling like every time you take 10 steps forward, you get knocked 20 steps back. But you got to understand that that's just a sign that the call on your life is so great that life is saying, I'm going to let you fall over and over again so that I can throw you forward. See, it's like that slingshot analogy.
I was going to say rubber band.
Yeah, like you get pulled back, the further you get pulled back, the further you can go when it's let go. And this was my journey for years. People would be like, why are you not here yet? Why are you not here yet? And I'd say, I'm just on the journey right now. I'm not focused on the destination or the outcome. Because, see, this is another thing, too, as we're growing, even going back to the book, Warrior of Love, Speaker of Truth, the spirit that's warring to love me wants to be present with me in the journey. Just like Adam walking with God in the cool of the day, the wisdom is coming to hold my hand and say, sit with me for a while. And then it starts to speak this truth that's divinely the truth that's meant for me. And the more I sit with it and I listen to it, the more I grow. And then before you know it, things are manifesting. And I look back sometimes now and I'm like, I remember when I prayed about being here. Like, I remember, like, man, I'm going to tell you, I mean, as raw and vulnerable as I could be, man, when I first moved into this place, I've been here for going on 3 years now. But I remember it was after my separation from my youngest daughter's mom, and we have a great relationship. We just realized we were unequally yoked. We're going in two completely different directions, and we still honor each other at the highest level. But I moved into this place, man, and everything had gotten set up. I got my office set up, and one morning I just walked out and it was so peaceful. And I was just walking around the house and I was like, man, and it started scaring me. And I was like, what's this feeling? And I sat down and I started meditating and just kind of praying on it. And I was like, God, I don't know what to do. I was like, I need to figure this out. I was like, because in my mind, I was so used to working and doing the work and growing. And I said, what I said in my meditation, because I had my journal out and I was just going to write whatever came to me. But I was like, I'm afraid that if I'm not being tested, you know, I'm going to stop growing, you know, and that was just me being real. And this is after 20 years being in this space. I felt like there was this push, and the message that came to me is you are being tested. But the test in this season of your life is, can you receive the peace that you prayed for? You're finally where you wanted to be back here when you were angry, bitter, frustrated, didn't have a purpose, didn't know where you were going, or even when you started on your purpose and you knew where you were going, you know, you were still having to fight through the opinions of other people, the perspectives of other people, and what society was throwing on you. Were still having to fight through it. And now you've reached the point of your blessing, and this peace, this season in your life is your test. You've been asking for it, but are you ready to receive it? And see,
Can you embrace it?
Yeah. And this is what happens to a lot of us. We get so programmed mentally that things got to be a certain way. It's got to feel a certain way, right? But then the peace that surpasses all understanding, because I didn't understand it, bro. Like I did not I was like, what is this feeling? Like to wake up every day and just walk through my house. I don't have any drama in my life. I don't have anybody speaking over my life, what they think, how they feel. Like I'm in a place now where my life is so peaceful. Like, and it's beautiful, but being able to sit with that peace was a test. But anyway, I said all that just to say, you know, there's so many things, not just that I've experienced along the way. And then you get so into the work and the growth, you look back, you don't even realize how many steps you've taken until you look back down. Like, look at you, man, like another perfect example. Look at where you were. Think about how we used to think, like how we used to look at people, how we used to look at the world. And now you out here sending peace and blessings and love, like that by itself, bro. Like if that's all we ever got, and we literally lived every day to send peace and blessings and love to the world, imagine how much more this world would be different.
It changes different because your words have power. You get to speak life and death into situations and into whatever atmosphere that you're putting out in.
Yeah.
Or as some people say, the universe, God give you power to change your atmosphere. When you walk into a room, it's you that they feel, because the energy shifts, especially if the energy ain't already shifted. If somebody of that caliber or nature is not already in there, it's you who change it. But it's you who have to realize that. So
yeah,
me, you already know me. You can talk for days. I need you to do a few things before we head out. I need you to tell them where they can purchase that book. And if you want to, you can share a little bit about your new book. And last, you already know I need a word of wisdom.
All right, got you. All right, so all my stuff is streamlined, PrincetonClark.com. Anything you need, podcasts, free audio, anything, any new programs, everything. The book, you just go straight there because there's two. They're on Amazon and they're on Barnes & Noble. But if you go to my website, you can just click the link and it'll just bring the page up for both those books. Just scroll down to the bottom of the homepage and you'll see it. You can't miss it. It's real simple to find. You can also follow me on social media if you have questions after watching this, at Princeton Clark across all platforms. I use Facebook, but Instagram would probably be better. And then my new book that's getting ready to come out is called Power to Purpose. And this book is really just a blueprint, you know, because I realize a lot of times people write books and they share a lot of information, but I think there leaves a lot of question like how, you know, like, you know, you make a statement like you are a powerful divine creator with the ability to change your life, but how do I have that ability? And so there's literally in this book, it's like a informative guide, but it's also, it gives you steps in each chapter, whatever it's talking about. I wanted this to be like a coaching companion because I know a lot of people, especially in our community, they can't afford to pay a coach. They don't even know where to begin. They don't even know who to trust most of the time. So I said, you know, I'm going to write this book so that it'll be like having me in their pocket. You know, it's going to give you guide. And it talks about everything from business to relationships to, you know, mind, body, soul, the pillars of your interconnection. And it goes, I mean, everything pertaining to life and really just moving in a purposeful balance and flow in your life is in this book. from top to bottom. Any question you have, it's answered. It'll give you a process on how to do it, when to do it, how to create, disciplines in different areas. What are some disciplines you can apply that may or may not work for you? Different things you can interchange into your experience as you're growing. So it's a very informative book, and I'm really excited about this one. It'll be coming out. I'm working on the editing. I'm having a hard time taking my hands off of it though, because it was done, and then I went back through it and I was like, I need to throw more of my story in there, because I didn't want to put so much of me in this one. I really just wanted to pack it full of information and tips on how to do. But then going back and reading it, I was like, let me expand on that a little bit. So now I'm going through each chapter and I'm writing a little bit more. So it's going to be longer than what I thought it was going to be. But guys, if you're ready to move in your power, tap into your purpose, and really live the way you've been called to live, divinely unique to you, you don't want to miss this book. You want to grab yours.
Okay. All right. Last thing, I need a word of wisdom.
Word of wisdom: honor each breath, man. We live every single day of our lives neglecting the essence of this life, neglecting moments, choosing to be less, giving up our will, thinking tomorrow is promised, next year is promised, the next month is promised, and it's not. And this is something that I realized when I tried to take my life at 23. Literally put a gun to my head. I pulled the trigger, the gun misfired, and I had a big wake-up call. I knew that there was something greater than me covering my life. And from that day, see, it was easy for me to say, oh, tomorrow's not promised, but I didn't really believe it. I didn't live like it, but after that, I knew that from the moment that gun misfired, every breath that I would breathe was a gift for me. And I said, I'm no longer wasting the breath, the spirit of my life, focusing on things that don't serve me or deserve me. Stop putting the breath of your life, giving the breath of your essence to things that don't serve you and don't deserve you. If it's not in the flow for your divine purpose or what's going to make you better, more efficient, and more powerful in your life, you got to let it go. You let it go. So number one, stop wasting the breath of your life. Honor each moment. Understand the gift that you've been given to be the most powerful version of you. And number two, if it's not in the flow, let it go. If it doesn't serve you, it doesn't deserve you. So start looking around your life and assessing the decisions you've made and the reality that you've now manifested, and ask yourself, does this really serve me? Is it truly in flow with what I truly desire? Is it truly in flow what's going to bring more love, more joy, more peace, more self-control into my life? And if it's not, seek me. You have my cousin here, Carlos. You can reach out to him. Seek a guide, someone that's going to help you really see beyond, because we all have blind spots. And when you're used to looking at things one way, sometimes it's really hard. A lot of the time, it's really hard to see it, but reach out, and so don't do it on your own. Honor the breath. Let it go if it doesn't serve you. If you're struggling to understand what that is, reach out, ask for help, because you have not, because you ask not.
That's one of my favorite verses. Like my mama used to say it all the time. So, look, once again, it is always an honor and a pleasure to build with you. I like to say one of my favorite verses is iron sharpens iron. And the more we talk, the sharper the iron get. So look, peace and blessings to you always, cuz love you.
Love you, my guy.
Congratulations on the new book and the successes of the old ones. God got more for you. We already know that.
Yes, sir. It's only up from here for us, bro.
Man, I promise you. My man told me this is Thrive 2025. Look, hey, we about to move into another stratosphere.
Yes, sir.
Once again, my name is Carlos Walker. This is Art and Hustle, Black Authors Matter, and this is my cousin, Princeton Clark. Blessings.